Hello and welcome to Big Nostalgia. I am Phil.
And I am Vicky.
This is the podcast where we look at games from our childhood and we kind of take apart their development and see how they were developed. What's the actual story behind how these games came to be? What elements were in their design and their kind of soundtracks, and what characters were there in them? I don't know if there'll be many characters today, however, because Big Nostalgia this week is looking at the game Wii Fit, which I'm not sure appears in much people's nostalgic video games from when they were kids, but let's have a look, shall we? Let's talk more about Wii Fit.
So, the Wii Fit. What can I tell you about the Wii Fit? Well, it was released in the EU in April the 25th, 2008, and in Japan, December the 1st, 2007. It was developed by Nintendo EAD Group number 5, which I was very curious about, so I had a little look. Entertainment, Analyst and Development Team, which was formerly known as Nintendo Research and Development number 4 Department, but was basically run by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka as managers. They're the company that developed games such as the Wii series, Donkey Kong, Mario, Animal Crossing, and Zelda. It was directed by Hishiro Matsunaga and produced by Tashi Shirama, who also he produced on all the Wii Fit games and most of the Star Fox franchise, along with doing some art design and bits and pieces on other well-known Nintendo franchise. The programmer was a man called Kitsuto Nishirumu, and the composers was Teruo Mainshiki, Maka Tomaga, and Shio Fuji. So a lot of people on this game. So, where did the inspiration come from? Well, this is a brainchild of dear old Shigeru Miyamoto, which, of course, we know very well in the Nintendo business. In fact, Shigeru Miyamoto did a Wired interview actually specifically about this game. And, of course, he's the one who came up with the brainchild of a lot of games, but Nintendogs and Pikmin. Nintendogs was inspired when the family got a dog. Pikmin was inspired when he started doing the gardening, and this game was actually inspired when his family bought him, of all things, a new bathroom scales. So Shigeru Miyamoto said, "Something I would normally do in the bathroom is weigh myself, but with the Wii, if there was a way that we could take that into the living room and turn it into an experience that everybody takes part in, then that might be fun." Not sure about you, but
You need very big scales.
I'm not sure if it's a fun concept to share weight, just personally, but, you know, everyone has their different...
The new game from Shigeru Miyamoto, Intervention, where you hold interventions. What inspired the new game, Mr. Miyamoto? My family held an intervention about how I get all my game ideas from home.
No, imagine... How to Reverse Park. Where did you get this inspiration from? I've been in the car with my wife, enough said, and just like a very angry woman in the background. He was finding that when he hit the age of 40, he was quite active, he was swimming, but he was getting a lot of back pain, of course, in his line of work. He was sitting at a desk. He hit 50, and he was having fun keeping an eye on his weight and making graphs. And that's when the family bought him the scales. And the rest is history, really, for that inspiration. I mean, not many people can look at a bathroom scales and think, what game can I make out of this? But it definitely shows inspiration for where the balance board came from.
It is a long, long way from exploring caves as a child inspiring Zelda, though.
I know, but he actually said that there was a lot of things about the Wii that made this possible, which of course was the wireless. So it was easier to deal with the design of the game, having that wireless aspect with the Wii board and with the nunchucks in certain games with like the jogging and the boxing.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I know boxing is for sports, but he was also the brainchild behind Wii Sports. So
yes.
That was obviously when he started the swimming and the active lifestyle. And also like what people want out of games. They were finding that people were getting a bit more conscious about healthy living and healthy lifestyles. And the Nintendo, personally, I feel that the Nintendo, before either of the other two consoles, was really trying to hit that demographic.
The casual
gamer, the more relaxed gamer. We've said a bit about it before, trying to have a target of audience of 5 to 95. It's a very broad spectrum. He was saying like the NES era wasn't thinking of this style of game. It was helping get families into gaming. Even Miyamoto's wife only got into gaming since the game Brain Training Academy and all that sort of gaming. So the Wii Fit helped broadens who was interacting with the system, which of course for Nintendo is a very good thing to do, because it means that you've got more of a demographic. If they try the Wii Fit, they're more likely to do another sort of gaming through a console that they trust.
Yeah, especially if they've only bought the console to try Wii Fit, they're then like, well, we've got it, so they might end up trying other things. Same with DS and brain training, like you said, and I think the DS even had like crossword games and stuff like that, really for the more, I don't know why the word like, almost like lifestyle games, because they're like day-to-day lifestyle things more than actual games, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, they took that to the extreme with dear old Animal Crossing, didn't they? Because you literally can do your life as close to as you want to. The Japanese culture was actually also suffering from Western cultures viewing the Japanese as skinny. There's actually this condition called a metabolic system, which has an adverse health of the effects to obesity, which was quite a big craze at the time in Japan that Japanese were suffering from. So this was another way that Miyamoto was kind of inspired to do like a healthy game to try and get people moving, try and get people exercising. Video games are more linked to lack of exercise, and he wanted to do a bit more of a positive spin, because there's always that kind of like stereotypical, you just sit in front of a game, all you're doing is moving your fingers, you're not going outside, you're not interacting, you're not exercising. He wanted to change that viewpoint on consoles, which of course the age range that he was trying to hit, that would have been a very big deal. I mean, let's be honest, families were really thinking of it as a good way for their children to get interacted with, exercise, but in a more fun way, because of course it involved their latest console.
Yeah, it's a game. You know, you love games. Now get on the scales.
Let's see how much you've put on. Wow. They found that 6% of the people buying Wii Fit were males at the age of 30, but everyone was ending up playing it. 40% of the people that they surveyed brought the Wii specifically for the Wii Fit.
Yeah, it's just, in a way, it's a system seller. Like, to your more hardcore fans, your system sellers are your Mario Galaxy. A lot of the games we talked about, these Mario Galaxies, your Zeldas and things. But for non-gamers, the system seller is how can this actually impact my day-to-day life? And it's stuff like Wii Fit, where it's like, actually, this could be a way of tracking my progress and things like that.
Exactly. Alongside the Wii Fit game, of course, came the balance board, which, did you know, was specifically made for the Wii Fit game? Imagine that.
Never knew that. I would have assumed it was for Super Mario Weight game. I was going to try and think of a pun.
You were trying to think of something, weren't you? You were trying for a pun. But since the creation of the balance board, Miyamoto has been trying to integrate it into certain games. Like there was Wii Ski. They were trying to get it more game-based. And of course, with the idea of Mario Sonic at the Olympic Games. I know it was never used for games like that, but that was the idea.
It was used in the Winter Olympics, if you remember our episode on that.
Oh, it was, wasn't it, for the snowboarding?
Because we had it. And I think we used it a grand total of maybe once. For like, this is more complicated than I want to do.
But that was the idea. Once they made this add-on for the Wii Fit, they were trying to get it integrated into more gaming, which I think we've touched on the fact that Nintendo has had a lot of add-ons over the centuries, but it's all about not just seeing the game it was made for, but trying to see what else it can be used for, which I thought was pretty good.
You can see it recently with the leg strap that was developed for Ring Fit, and the fact that it now is getting used for Switch Sports as well.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, it's just a little pouch that that the Joy-Con goes in.
And if you've bought Ring Fit, then you've already got that, or vice versa. It's something that is quite handy and multi-purposeful, because of course all it's doing is kind of keeping an eye that you are actually using your legs, which of course Wii Sports got a bit of a bad rep when people are literally sitting on the sofa to play tennis by flicking their wrists. So it's just making sure that you're actually exercising these exercise games.
Getting off that arse and swinging, actually bouncing on those feet.
Well, the Wii Fit was part of the Health Pack in September 2006. It was announced at the E3 July 2007. The Health Pack was a collection of games that they were pushing at the time, which involved more like active games. And you could trial a little bit of Wii Fit, but it wasn't available as of, a bit more of a trial game until the E3 in 2007. One of the main points that they were trying to push with this is it didn't have plans to be integrated with what was called the Wii Connect 24, which is when it enables a user to remain connected to the internet while the console is on standby, e.g. send a message if not in game. But there was thoughts to potentially add that as a future reference. For example, like a doctor could comment on something and then you would find it in-game afterwards or connected. So it would keep communication lines if it was being used as a health.
Oh, I see. I thought when you said online, I was thinking more like online leaderboards and all that kind of stuff.
More like if you had messaged someone in Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
But they're not actually on the game. You can still message them in game, and then they find it when they go online. The idea is that there are those potential health benefits, which I'll touch a bit more in later.
Like Wii Fit as a rehabilitation tool, basically.
I'll touch on that a bit more later, but that was the potential that a doctor could see your progress, comment on it, even if you weren't on the game or in the disc at the time. The balance board was actually was inspired by heavy sumo wrestlers needing 2 scales to be weighed on, which is why it's so wide in the shape it is, a lot wider than a normal set of scales.
Yeah. Okay.
I never knew. I suppose really, really big sumo wrestlers would need 2 scales to weigh on. So we've talked a bit about a lot about the inspiration, but let's go on to the actual game. Wii Fit contains 40 activities, which include yoga and strength training, aerobics and balance games. The main focus of the game, which we will go to more in critiques later, is that it's more about there's a big focus on improving your posture. That was a big push throughout the game. The whole point of the balance board is that they find your centre of balance, and you are judged by games how well you hold your balance or how well you can stand on one leg, stuff like that, and your centre of gravity. You'd follow your progress using your Me character, and you could have up to 8 profiles on your account, which was good if you think if it's for the family, you wanted lots of profiles available.
Yeah.
Yoga would be to hold a pose. Do you know the different yoga stances that the Wii Fit offered?
The different yoga stances that the Wii Fit offered?
Yeah, for you to learn. There's
what? There's Good Morning World, is it?
It's 15 overall.
I'm probably not going to guess all of them, but I'm going to try.
There was no Good Morning World. There's a warrior.
Shoulder stand. That's not yoga.
Yes. Yep. Shoulder stand.
Okay. Sun salutation.
Yes. That one.
That's the one I was thinking of.
We're just like, hey, son.
That's an attack in Smash Bros.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So one for slapping a football at someone.
No. So you've got deep breathing. Nice simple one. Half moon. Tree, which I always found was quite funny.
Oh, yeah.
Standing knee. Then you got palm tree, chair, triangle, downward facing dog, dance, cobra, bridge, and spinal twist. Along with the ones that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a lot of good inspiration. I mean, yoga was and has become quite a bit of a craze. It was a way of getting people invested if they didn't want any heavy sort of exercise, but they were thinking more about stretches and poise and really pushing that improving posture part. And then there was strength training, repetitions of selected exercise, and the score would be based on the balance during the session. I won't go into every single section, but these included such as like lunges, planks, single leg extensions, arm leg lifts, tricep extensions. So it was a bit more focused on the more active side of exercise. And then our favourite section, personally my favourite section, because there was up to 30 yoga to strength activities. The next one is aerobics and balance games. Gotta love a bit of balance games.
I think that's probably what I know most of, is the actual kind of mini games, which I think were mostly in this section, weren't they?
There was 18 mini games between aerobics and balance games. Do you want to have a go naming a few?
So there was... Are we counting like the running one, where you're running through Woohoo Island?
Yes. So you've got free run.
Yeah. There is the step up game.
Yep, free step. And you've got basic run and basic step as well.
So that's 4.
Yep, 4 and 2. You said 2, but it meant 4.
I'm getting... The thing is, those are the ones I remember the most, mostly because of... I did the running one a little bit, and I remember the music from the stepping one. The other ones are getting mixed up in my head with Ring Fit games.
Hula hoops and super hula hoop.
Was that what they kept throwing hula hoops onto you?
Yes, and you had to kind of like keep your balance and keep them going.
Yeah.
There was advanced step as well, and 2P run.
That's 2-player.
Yeah. Rhythm boxing. That was all the aerobics, and then you've got soccer heading.
Oh, I remember that.
Ski slalom and ski jump.
Yes, I think so.
You have to bend forward and then suddenly get really, really straight.
Yeah. They had something similar to that in Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympics as well, I think.
You had table tilt and tightrope walk.
Yes, I remember tightrope.
Tightrope tension in the Europe game. Balance bubble. When you're a bubble floating down the river and you have to try not to get popped.
Yes, yeah. This is bringing back a lot of memories.
Penguin slide. Do you remember that one?
No.
No. Snowboard slalom.
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 No. I think I'm thinking of the Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympics.
And Lotus Focus, where you had to sit on the board and basically try not to like wibble wobble.
And they tried to distract you, I think, with stuff on the screen.
But you're supposed to sit as calmly as possible. So that was the 18 games from those. And I've got to admit, I'm the same with Philip. I remember those ones a lot more than the yoga, and especially the... apparently the strength training was not really my cup of tea back in those days. I remember 1 or 2 of the yogas, but mainly the balance games. Those were where my focus was at.
I think those were more oriented at us as like the younger audience as well.
Yeah,
unless you're one of those people that bought it as like a serious health thing, that's probably how they tricked those kids into getting healthy.
As you do. Trick those kids. Ha ha ha. So, of course, this was all kept on a chart the way Shigeru Miyamoto wanted it to be, with the whole body tests, which would get your body mass index, which is, of course, your BMI, and is calculated, plus your balance was calculated to get together, and you would get your Wii Fit age. Now, I always found my Wii Fit age was quite funny in comparison to my actual age. It was supposed to be your physical strength in relation to your true age. And I don't think I was ever my actual age. I think I was always a lot older, which was very funny.
Yeah. No, I remember that. I don't know. I think we can go on when we talk about like future games, but I think it maybe took the wrong kind of tone at times with things like that. Because, I mean, I could go on about how BMI is not a great metric for all people. Because, for example, an actual strength builder is not going to have a good BMI. But that's because they've got a lot of their weight in their strength.
Well, I'm just going to hold that off for just 1 sec, because we are going to get into that in a minute. Because, of course, there was also a Wii Fit channel that you could install. That meant that you could do your Wii Fit menu, perform body tests without actually loading up the game. The Wii Fit actually sold 250,000 copies in the first week. So you can see how popular it was. In fact, in Europe, they were refusing at one point to do pre-orders because they were just running out of stock. There was too many pre-orders because it was such a sought-out game.
Yeah.
The Wii Fit is, in fact, third best-selling console game not packaged with a console. They actually managed to shift 22.67 million copies globally, and that was from March 2012, and it's actually been found out to be the 6th best-selling Wii game of all time.
Damn.
So for a game that's not really a game, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Now, we do normally do quirks, but this one actually is all about how it was received, because there was a very big difference between how it was received and some of the points you've already slightly touched upon. So the balance and the aerobic mini games were a lot of fun, but there was a lot of critiques about the limitations offering serious workout. In fact, Tokyo's National Institute of Health and Nutrition found that 33% of the exercises were medium intensity. The rest were low. There was no high intensity activity available in that game at all.
Damn. Too casual.
Too casual. I mean, the focus, of course, being more about the centre of balance, about posture. It wasn't really for the serious exerciser. So it wasn't really, it didn't increase your heart rate enough. There was a lot of critiques because your heart rate, even if your heart rate did increase, then of course you'd go to the menu screen and your heart rate would drop. There wasn't the consistent heart rate that a lot of people are looking for a serious workout. So what do you think of all that?
I think it's interesting. I think you can see where they've taken that critique on board. I'm going to keep citing Ring Fit because I think it's pretty much the most recent spiritual successor to it on the Switch. And it's interesting how you can see all of those things have been incorporated. You play Ring Fit as well.
Yes, I do.
And once you're into a Ring Fit session, they get you to warm up at the beginning and cool down at the end. But once you're in, aside from like a bit of dialogue, like some light story beats, or even going to the shop, you have to physically twist, you know, the ring con to navigate. But that is like, it gets you into a session, and then you do the session, and then you come out of it. And as you progress through the game, the exercises you unlock are more and more intense. To the point where I just lie on the floor and die at some points, because I'm just knackered. So and also that had a lot more variability in its difficulty, because you could turn up and down like the difficulty level, which was the number of reps of each activity and how much you had to hold it in, you know, the ring con in, to actually for it to count as a move.
Yes.
And that allowed for people to use it more intensely or less intensely, depending on their skill level.
Well, I do feel that in these, when we have been talking about, such as like Pikmin 1 to Pikmin 3, Mario Galaxy and then Mario Galaxy 2, we have been talking a lot about how they progressed with the games. And I think this one, it wasn't down to console and it wasn't down to concept. It was down to actually what people actually view exercise and what people want actually out of exercise. Like there's a lot of casual exercises out there, and the way Miyamoto hit this one was just beyond too casual for an exerciser. There's been a couple of articles that I saw about people really being affected by the way and the wording they used to judge how big or small you were.
Yeah.
And if you think of the games and the exercises that were available, they weren't really there to deal with weight or getting rid of weight. It was more posture and stretching and flexibility and stuff like that. It wasn't hard enough to deal with any weight problems.
Yeah.
A lot of people were stating how much it affected them being called obese when they felt that they weren't obese, or judged to their BMI schedule. And actually one of them was stating how they were told that they were underweight and how their me character looked really sad and really depressed.
Yeah.
And how that affected them. So I think this game had very good intentions. There's very good intentions there. But the way that it was actually portrayed, it wasn't hard-hitting enough exercise, and it certainly wasn't careful with its wording.
It wasn't striking the right tone either. Because I think that's ultimately why I stopped enjoying using it, was because, like, getting told, like, your body age or whatever was super high and, like, all of that kind of stuff. it's only motivating for a certain type of person.
Yeah.
Everyone else is going to like kind of react negatively, especially in those groups which you want to get them exercising more.
Yes.
They're not going to respond to being, I hate to use this word because I know, like we say, it had the best intentions, but it's almost shaming them.
Yes.
Which is not productive.
Well, definitely the way they use the word obese and underweight.
Yeah.
I personally stopped playing the game because it kept telling me that I was severely obese. At the time, I don't believe I was at all. But the way it kind of gets your me character and looks like a rubber ring's being put round and the music and everything, it was, yeah, I think that's a good word, which I know wasn't the intention, but unfortunately came across is there was a lot of shaming going on.
Which is why I keep coming back through this to
Ring
how
Fit.
much... Because Ring Fit is so much... Well, one, there is no scales at all.
No.
Two, I think it's optional to even put your weight in, and all it's used for is to calculate the number of calories burnt through the exercise more accurately.
3, it doesn't judge you if you don't play it every single day. I remember going back on our Wii Fit once, and it was like, we haven't seen you in 365 million days or something. And it was just like, where have you been? And it was just like, well, you're going to be a bit pissed now. Off.
Yeah.
Never to be turned on again.
Yeah, the Ring Fit is more like, oh, it's good to see you. Like, you haven't been back for a while, so you may want to take it easy, but it's good to get you back into the flow of things.
And also gives you the option to maybe stick or go lower on your exercise because you haven't been back in a while, or to kind of challenge yourself if you have been. Like, if you've done a couple of days in a row, it's like, oh, do you want to challenge yourself? Do you want to make it a bit more harder difficulty? Or are you quite happy on this level? What do you want to do? And
part of the warm-up and the cool-down actually teaches you stuff about fitness. And it always does the fact at the end of your session. It says, here's your fact of the day. And it'll be a fitness tip. Obviously, it always says, like, please consult your doctor or whatever. But it also talks about tips to do with nutrition and, like, what different things do for the body. I just, you know...
This isn't a thing about Ring Fit, but it is very hard not to, like we did in the other ones, it's very hard not to talk about the final product because it does feel that the Wii Fit, the Wii Fit Plus and the Wii Fit U were all leading up to the Ring Fit. The Ring Fit is like an unofficial Wii Fit game just because of the development and what they've been able to do with the different design. Like, I feel that they would have been able to do a game like Wii Fit, they would have been able to do a game like Ring Fit on the Wii. They weren't there yet developmentally wise, or like realizing what the audiences wanted, which is why they didn't have a game like that. I think the technology was there. It was just like the thought pattern and the thought place wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
It was actually there was a quote. It was this game was the world's most lifeless and depressing gym. The design of the gym was heavily criticised because, of course, it's just the white walls and very bland, and all you have is this green person in the middle, and people were like going to the gym and saying, hey, this is actually a lot more fun than it. There was just, whereas, of course, with the Ring Fit, it's a lot more fun, much more engaging sort of game. Yeah, there's just a lot of progresses that you can see, less to do with what the console was able to do and more to do with people's ideas of what exercise even is.
And I think it shows that there is more than just knowing how to make a good game. There's almost like a psychology. There's psychology elements in game design about, you know, letting the person know where to go without having to give written instructions by having a chain of coins go that way. This almost, it'd be interesting to know, like, how they've developed their understanding of how to do fitness games over time, starting probably with Wii Fit. There was kind of...
It was kind of out there a little bit before Wii Fit. But I do feel Wii Fit was one of the very first games that kind of encouraged you to get up. Like, if you're not talking about Wii Sport, of course, did encourage you to get out of your chair, but Wii Fit was actually putting the health kick in there as well. And I just think games further down the line have merged those two concepts more tightly together to make it a lot more of a fun concept to do. Yeah, the metrics are there if you're interested. But if not, it's just a fun game that will get you doing actual exercises in the right method and things like that as well, so that you could do them without the game and you'd be working out, safely. And I don't want to be completely negative because, of course, this game did sell very well. It was very well received in certain sections. It did do a lot. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. It helped with like nursing people in rehabilitation. Now, talking about the sort of exercise that it was offering, it's no wonder that it was so good in helping with rehabilitation. And it was also used quite a lot in nursing homes to help balancing problems with the elderly.
Yeah.
And you can think if it's a very either highly low intensity or at most medium intensity sort of workouts, you can understand, and focusing on posture, you can understand why it helped those sort of demographics so well.
Yeah. No, I think as a first step, it was very good. And it's kind of like we've said, it's paved the way for what is still it's kind of almost a core part of Nintendo now. They've been doing fitness games now for a while. The reason we talk about Ring Fit is Ring Fit was the last big success. Similar to Wii Fit, it was out of stock everywhere. I mean, granted, it came out at the beginning of lockdown from COVID-19, but I know that I was lucky to get one for not a massively overinflated price, and I think you had to wait to get it so it wasn't an inflated price because it was just in demand everywhere.
So much exercise at home, all weights or any home gym equipment was out of stock, obviously including the Wii Fit. It was just ways that people could do exercise in the safety of their home with the whole dear old pandemic.
Yeah.
I suppose one little quirk would be that a Finnish defence force actually bought 384 Wii consoles, specifically buying the Wii Fit and Wii Sports games for the troops to encourage exercise in their free time. So they bought them all these consoles, put them in their troop camps, and it actually worked. It got soldiers actually doing very light sort of exercise and getting out of their chairs and moving during their free time.
Can we get Mario Kart? No.
You get Wii Sports and you like it. What about Zelda? No. Wii Fit and Wii Fit. You are in the army after all. Let's not have too much fun. Or no fun at all, indeed.
But no, it's interesting to hear those cases of it being... Obviously, it's great when it is used for rehabilitation. We've had a few games like that this season. Like we said, Wii Sports and Wii Play get used for it. Just Dance gets used for it.
Yes.
And so it is really, really important as part of it. It's interesting to know that the army were like, here's a treat for you fellas. Now get off your asses and continue being active. But I think it's a clever idea because it means it's quite a sociable thing. Well, Wii Sports at least, maybe more than Wii Fit. But it is a clever idea to get them kind of doing stuff when they're not strictly on duty.
And it really brings back to the concept that this game, regardless of some of the negatives, obviously, that we've touched upon, did have good intentions and it did work. It all depended. It really depended what sort of exercise you were looking for and what sort of exercise ability level you are at. I just think... we will go on to what we think at, a little bit later. But, of course, it's the successors of this game that we've already mentioned, which was Wii Fit Plus and Wii Fit U. Did you ever have Wii Fit U?
No.
I'm not sure. I think they still...
I never got over having Wii Fit.
Well, Wii Fit U actually used the screen in gameplay as well.
I didn't know that could hold someone's weight.
No, not to stand on it, you nana, but to help engage and get a bit more of engagement in it. And then, of course, the latest one being Ring Fit Adventure. I think rebranding it as well, making it a whole new game, has worked really well. But we've already...
It's so full of colour now as well.
Colour, engaging.
The enemy designs, the world designs, the soundtrack. It's all been... It's almost like...
ramped up.
They've almost put the... It's more game... It is purely fitness, but it's equally as much game. Whereas the other ones were more fitness than they were game, if that makes sense.
Well, a bit like how when we were doing Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2 reviews, we couldn't stop talking about Pikmin 3. Ring Fit just was able to take the Wii Fit design. But Wii Fit did have a good concept. It just, it also, dear old Wii Fit lady and man, the gym instructors, appeared in Super Smash Bros., Wii U, and in Ultimate as playable characters, like you slightly mentioned earlier. which was a very odd choice at the time. I remember seeing, like, you know, Wii Fit instructor joins the fight or whatever, and you're just
I
like...
think it was Wii Fit trainer weighs in. And you're just like, really? The Wii Fit trainer? But we've got people who really enjoy that character as a fighting character, and it's been integrated. There's also the level design that's based around the gym and with the music and everything. So yeah, it's kind of kept that game or that concept going a little bit longer, or kept it a bit more relevant in the Nintendo community. Yeah, kept it in people's minds a bit more.
But yeah, so I think Wii Fit is a good concept. I just don't think it's a very good game.
It's a good first step.
Yeah, and it's paved the way. If you think outside of Ring Fit, you've got the Zumba games, you've got a lot of games now that are trying to get you active, off your seat and dancing, like Just Dance. They're trying to get you moving, and they're more based on the dancing elements, less the exercise elements. But feels like it all came from a Wii Fit.
I think you can get like kickboxing Switch ones as well.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
So it all came from the simple concept of a guy being bestowed upon a brand new pair of scales and wanting to keep fit in his later years.
Yeah, which is probably one of the more unlikely things to happen if you buy a family member a set of scales for their birthday.
I know.
More likely as they don't speak to you again.
Well, yeah. I mean, buying scales as a present, I'm not sure I'd like that, but you know, each their own. And it does show where quite a lot of the inspiration for the exercises came from. If you think of his age when this game came out and the idea came to him, would be more of the gentle sort of exercises as well, and the stretches, and the posture and stuff like that. Of course, getting back pains. And what are your thoughts on the game?
Well, I was just going to say, I think I've given my thoughts quite well across this.
Oh, yes, yeah.
But I was just going to say, as a closing remark, like all good exercise routines, Wii Fit is a good first step, and it does a little better each time. And now, you know, Ring Fit, I can say, is really fun just as a game. It's got RPG elements, it's got level ups, it's got potions, and all that kind of stuff that really gamifies it. But you also get a good workout in.
Yeah. Which
I think is, you know, but it couldn't have got there without Wii Fit being the first thing to say, why don't, you know, on probably the first big success on a big home commercial scale to use video games to kind of promote healthy living. It didn't do it amazingly well, but it you know, no one does amazingly well when they first start working out. That's kind of what you have to accept when you start doing it. You just start doing better after a few attempts, which they have.
It's a good starter step.
I might have lost that metaphor somewhere in there, but you know what I mean.
And that has been the Wii Fit. Bit more of a shorter episode this week, but please let us know if you were mentally scarred by the Wii Fit game as a concept, or judging you in your youth. Or your thoughts on the game. If you agree with us that it was a good first step, or you think it was an absolutely atrocious game, we always want to hear from you. You can follow us, obviously, on our YouTube and subscribe, or you can follow us on our Twitter account at ABK Studios. And thank you very much for joining us.
Join us again next week, where it will be the last episode of the season before the top 10, where we will be talking about The Wind Waker.
The Wind Waker.
Now, you might be saying, why are you doing The Wind Waker after the other two Zelda games? Because it's our show, and we want it to end on a big game.
And we can do whatever we like, so...
We can do what we want, so nah.
So
but please join us.
This one is a bit more of a shorter one, but I think it all balances out, because we know for a fact that Wind Waker will be a big one.
Get it? Balances out. Wii Fit. I've been Phill.
I've been Vicky.
We'll see you next week for more cracking jokes like that one.
Never forget to weigh in.
Bye.
Bye.